Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Courtroom Insider. I'm Nate Eaton. Hope you are ready for the weekend. It is September 19th, 2025. It has been a non-stop month, you could say, of news. Looking forward to this weekend and glad you're here tonight. Emmy's show, School of Rock, my daughter, opens tonight. So, secret, I'm pre-taping this. When you're watching this, I'm probably at the show. But she's been working hard for this, so have her castmates, and it's her first time in like a big musical, you could say. So we're looking forward to going to that. But I wanted to come on and do a Courtroom Insider today because Vallow Daybell was back in court this morning. And she's not going down easy, you could say. We'll get to that in just a minute. I did want to update you on the news that broke late last night. Travis Decker, the remains of his human remains, authorities believe they have found him. And so we'll get to that tonight. By the way, let me know where you're watching from, and also if you have any questions. Let me get you up to date on Travis Decker. You remember this was back in end of May when Travis Decker is accused of killing his three daughters, Peyton Decker, who was 9, Evelyn, who was 8, and Olivia, who was 5. They were found dead at a remote campground in Washington on June 2nd. The father was Travis Decker, took his children. He was supposed to return them back to their mother as part of a custody arrangement, and he never returned home as part of a court-ordered visit back on May 30th. They found the children in a horrible condition. They found Decker's truck. They never found him, and they found these girls at a remote campground in Washington State. So there have been these massive manhunts in June, July, August, September, part of September. Winter's coming, so it's going to be getting colder. There's going to be snow. And the sheriff, who I spoke with just a few weeks ago, Mike Morrison, I spoke with him about this, and he was confident that Decker will be found. There won't be any issues. And he sounds like he was right. This was what we got last night. While positive identification has not yet been confirmed, preliminary findings suggest the remains found during a search belong to Travis Decker. It is currently they're currently processing the scene with the Washington State Patrol response team, and a DNA analysis will be done to get 100% confirmation. The sheriff's office has had contact with the Decker family. They're providing them with support and updates as the investigation proceeds. And these remains were found as part of another extensive search. They have really been going all out trying to find this man. This morning, the sheriff spoke with Cairo TV. Here's a little bit of what Mike Morrison, the sheriff, said.
We found some remains when we were flying our drone, and were able to get a on-the-ground confirmation they were human remains. We've since collected some items from that and sending it out to Washington State Patrol's crime lab to see if we can get DNA confirmation if it is Mr. Decker. We've made it very clear that we weren't going to give up, that we understood this could be in for the long haul. If this search didn't work out, we would have been back next month doing another search. Our detectives have never lost faith. The U.S. Marshal Service have stayed close next to us. Same with the FBI, along with the Forest Service. All of our other partners, Spokane County Sheriff's Office, again, Sheriff Knowles and his team out here assisting us again today. This is a collaborated effort, and we're just hoping that this will bring the closure that our community's been looking for, brings justice to Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, and hopefully bring some closure for Whitney and her family so they can rest a little bit easier at night.
So that is the Sheriff Mike Morrison, and we are so glad that it appears this might be concluded, at least the search for Travis Decker. Many people wanted him found alive so that he could go to court, but it appears that that is not to be the case, and so we will wait for positive confirmation on that. These three beautiful little girls, their father is the man responsible for this, according to authorities, and it's just so sad. Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. So that is the latest there. Now let's move on to Vallow Daybell. I know many of you probably are going to turn it off, but I did want to continue to follow the story because there is news. In fact, for the first time, I think, in my career, maybe not the first time, but one of the first, I sat through a restitution, what was supposed to be a restitution hearing this morning, and Vallow Daybell is disputing it. She's disputing that the amount of money she should have to pay Kay Woodcock and the victims in this case. Now, in most of these trials, the restitution comes, and 9.5 times out of 10, the defendant, after being found guilty and being sentenced to life in prison forever, just agrees to the restitution. There's not much of a dispute. But in this case, there is. Now, you're going to ask, why, how in the world would Lori ever even pay all of this back? Well, there's a couple of things. One, she could get a job, I believe, in the prison. I've actually spent a lot of time in the prison the past few weeks. I showed you earlier this month my tour of the Pocatello Women's Correctional Center, where women can work in the kitchen, they can work in the cleaning crew, they work in the laundry, there's all sorts of jobs they do. They get paid 40 cents an hour. That's it, 40 cents an hour. I don't know if it's taxed, but that would be, so, you know, you work 10 hours, you get $4. And that money they can use on commissary, they can save it up, they can do what they want with it. I went just 3 days ago to the men's prison in Boise as part of a media tour, spent 3 hours there, and as part of the tour there were some inmates with us on that tour. 2 men. One who is serving time for murder, one who is serving time for battery. They have impressive stories, and they were impressive stories in the fact of what they've done in prison. One is working toward his degree. He will have it in a few months. The other was a very accomplished businessman who was getting ready to go to medical school, so he tells me. And you would see him and you'd think, I don't want to sound stereotypical at all, but you would see, like, that guy's in prison? Prison? Like, not jail, but prison? And they both have jobs. They're both mentors as part of the program. They're in prison. And so every day, the one goes to work from 8 to 4. He's got to be on time. He mentors the other inmates. He teaches them. He educates them. He also gets paid 40 cents an hour. 4 o'clock comes around. He can go outside for an hour, go have dinner, go back to his cell. He calls it a room and a roommate rather than a cellmate. We saw his cell. We saw the pod. And it really was quite eye-opening. Now, I want to be clear. That's not for everybody in the prison. There's different tiers. We went to the minimum tier. These men were both part of the minimum. We went to the medium tier, and then we went to the maximum tier, but not the max tier. I think they call it the closed unit. We walked through quickly. They didn't let us in their pods. These are clearly the guys that have behavioral issues, serious mental health issues, and they weren't happy to see us. It was very clear. The other pods, they welcomed us in. One guy invited us in his cell, like I said. They wanted to talk. The max is where Chad Daybell and Koberger are. We didn't go to that facility. I'm hoping the next time I go to Boise, maybe I can tour that one. I tell you all this to say that these men and the women can work. They can get money while they're in the prison system, and that money can then be turned around to pay the restitution. Will they ever get the full amount in a lot of these cases? No. But it's on the books, and should Judge Boreski said in his sentencing, actually I'll play you what he said about her making sort of money. This was the actual sentence that Judge Boreski gave her when it came down to fines and fees and her time in prison. So that's what he said on her sentencing date back in July. And then today the purpose was to talk about what are these amounts. What amount of money does Lori Vallow Daybell owe Kay Woodcock and Brandon Boudreaux, the victims in this case? Remember, we're just talking about Arizona. We're not talking about the Idaho cases. Idaho cases are now in the appellate process. Trina Kay, the prosecutor, says that for Kay Woodcock, the amount is $8,949.52. So nearly $9,000 for restitution for whatever. And there's receipts that back it up, like actual receipts that back it up. She said Brandon Boudreaux was still compiling his numbers and that number would come later. Well, Lori Daybell did not like that amount. She wanted to argue it. Remember, she's now in Pocatello, so she appeared via Zoom. Actually, everybody appeared via Zoom. And I was there as well. And I'm just going to play the hearing. It's about 15 minutes. You can see how it played out. You can see that in fact, at one point, Lori Vallow says a statement, and Trina Kay says, I actually have no idea what Miss Daybell just said. And the judge at one point expresses frustration. You could think that Lori could simply say, okay, I agree. Whatever, move on. But as we've seen all along, this is not her MO. This is not who she is. So here is the 15-minute hearing from today.
See. Yes, now I can hear you.
All right, this is the time set for a settlement conference in I don't know why I said a settlement conference. This is the time set for a status conference in CR 2021-001704 and CR 2022-001242. Let's get appearances, please. We'll start from the state.
Trina Kay on behalf of the state.
And Ms. Daybell, can you state your full name?
Yes, Lori Daybell for the defense.
All right, thank you. This is, as I said, a time set for status conferences. Is there any resolution regarding the restitution requests?
Judge, I've not had any contact with Ms. Daybell, so we had provided her with the documentation for K. Woodcock in the amount of $8,949.52 prior to, or at the time of the sentencing. So I'm not sure if she'll stipulate to that.
That was the only request so far?
So far, the request for Brandon Boudreaux at this time, he's still trying to get that together. So we would just ask that remain open. And when we have those documents, we'll provide them to Ms. Daybell and then set a hearing so we can see if she'll stipulate or not.
All right, so I'll turn to Ms. Daybell. What's your position on the restitution request?
Because I haven't received anything from Mr. Boudreaux, also the documents I have received from Ms. Kay are insufficient on their face. The defense is requesting that the state would give the defense an accounting of the stipulation that has already been given to the victims in these cases by the state so that we can accurately review the receipts that have been given to us, and then we'll be able to go from that point.
Judge, I actually have no idea what Ms. Daybell just said. She was provided with copies of all of the receipts as well as an accounting on an Excel spreadsheet. So if she doesn't agree to that, then we would need to set a hearing.
All right, is there something?
What I'm asking for is for the state to also give what they have already reimbursed the victims as witnesses when they came. It's very confusing, the receipts that we have received, what they were already reimbursed for. So in order to have a hearing, I would need those disclosed to the defense as soon as possible.
All right, I haven't seen any of these documents. Is the defendant talking about there's some things that are is the county attorney's office seeking restitution from their victim compensation fund?
We did not provide a request for that, no.
Okay, so I guess what if the victim, if Kay Woodcock is requesting certain amounts of money that she spent and no one's requesting money that the victim's compensation fund may have given to her, why would that be relevant for restitution hearing? I'm asking you, Ms. Vallow.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
So
if no one's requesting reimbursement for money that the Maricopa County Attorney's Office Victim Compensation Fund gave any witnesses or anything, that's not something that we're talking about for a restitution hearing.
well, that's what the defense doesn't know. The defense doesn't know what's been compensated and what hasn't been compensated. So on some of the actual receipts, there are saying 3 victims stayed at this hotel room or 3 next of kin stayed at this hotel room. So is Ms. Kay asking for those things to be reimbursed to her and she's going to cut everybody a check, or how is that supposed to work? So I'm asking for some clarification on what has been compensated, what hasn't been compensated, and what she's actually asking for.
Okay, I think I need to just set it for a hearing, and those are questions you can ask. She would need to testify, I would suppose, for any money that she expended. So can we do a virtual restitution hearing Friday, October 3rd at 9:30 a.m., 2 weeks from today?
Judge, I'm not sure. Kay is not on the line right now, so I would have to check with her after this. I do have something in the morning until about 11 o'clock, so I am free in the afternoon if Kay Woodcock is.
Is there, since we have everyone here now, is there a way we could recess for a couple minutes and you could check?
We can attempt to reach her.
Or yeah, I could do also October 3rd at 1 p.m.
So for me, 1 p.m. would work. I mean, we could set it then. We can reach out to Kay, and if it doesn't work, we can let the court know. I mean, obviously, it's more difficult with Ms. Daybell, not easily reached, but I'm not sure how else to do that.
And again, I would expect everyone just to appear virtually. The state would need to mark. I think the easiest way to do it is any receipts or documentation that you want me to consider would need to be marked just as one packet and a copy sent to Ms. Vallow. Let's do an alternative just in case that witness isn't available. So first choice will be the 3rd at 1 p.m. Second choice, how about the 10th, October 10th at 9:30 a.m.?
That works for the state as well.
All right, so we're going to assume that it's October 3rd at 1 p.m. unless we hear otherwise by Monday. If we do hear something, we'll cut another bit of entry so that everyone's on notice that it'll be the 10th at 9:30 a.m.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Right.
if those documents could be emailed to our paralegal here at PWCC, her name is Rachel Cheney. I wasn't going to say your first name, Miss Cheney. Then that could be expedited. So I could get that as soon as
They are
possible.
the same documents we previously disclosed. We can re-email them if maybe Mr. Abernathy can send us the email, but they're the exact same documents we previously disclosed.
And I'm going to need them again for review. I wasn't able to bring those with me.
I, out of an abundance of caution, I would just ask you to send another copy in the exact, order that you would be presenting it as an exhibit. So when we're referring to it virtually, everyone's literally on the same page at the same time. So Mr. Abernathy, are you willing to accept that email and get it forwarded to Ms. Daybell?
Yes, Judge. I currently have no contact information from Ms. Daybell. Obviously, this case is on appeal, and we have an appeal attorney assigned to it. I think he's in the process of trying to establish direct communications with Ms. Daybell, but I'm not sure if that's actually been accomplished at this point. Obviously, we would need like a legal privileged line to be set up. So I haven't had a word on that. So I'm not sure. I mean, October 3rd is coming up pretty soon. That might be a little premature. I also don't know how we can do a virtual hearing with advisory counsel. I don't have any way to communicate directly with Ms. Daybell. That's going to be privileged.
Okay. Well, you're advisory counsel, so you don't take an active role. Well, Ms. Daybell,
sorry, Judge, I could take an active role if Ms. Daybell has a question in the middle of this hearing, then we're not going to be able to talk and we're going to have to reset the hearing. So we're going to have to establish some way that she can communicate with me directly in order to not have to reset this in the middle of the hearing.
Judge, maybe
okay,
to ensure that, I'm sorry, Judge. I was thinking to ensure that Ms. Daybell has time to speak with her advisory counsel and that they are able to set up a way to communicate prior to the hearing so that they can discuss that. As much as I don't want to push it back, I think it might be better if we allowed them some time to discuss the hearing and whether or not she needs to stipulate to anything. As we've indicated, there is no victim compensation that's been paid out. It's just the documents that exist. So maybe they can go over those with her and lessen the time of whatever this hearing is about.
Well, I guess I'm a little frustrated that Ms. Daybell, the defendants had this information for 2 months and there have been no conversations apparently or contact. So
And Judge, just to avoid some frustration with the court, there were there were conversations, but since Ms. Daybell has been transported back to Idaho, that communication has ceased. So at this point, I haven't been able to communicate her currently as to what the status of any of this is. I know based on previous conversations, there are some issues that we need to address, and I do need to talk to Ms. Daybell about regarding the actual documents that were sent. I am happy to basically send a copy of those. I mean, I'm happy to do that if Ms. K will send those to me. It sounds like they're the same ones. So I will forward those to Ms. Daybell in Idaho so she can review those. Sounds like she didn't get to transport those with her.
okay, so that's fine. We'll do a little more time to make sure that documentation gets forwarded in the format that we would anticipate it to be marked as an exhibit. So let's do. All right, is advisory council or Ms. K in trial the middle of October?
I'm not sure.
That's
I don't know.
sorry, that's at the prison.
I think what I'm asking is, does it need to be on should we just shoot for Fridays?
I think Fridays are probably better, Judge.
Okay, is 4 weeks enough? Friday, October 17, 1 p.m. Oh wait, I've got a block. 1:30 p.m.
I'm sorry, Judge, did I miss the date?
Friday, October 17 would be 4 weeks from today.
Okay, that's fine with me, Judge. If for some reason I can't establish contact with Ms. Daybell in that time frame or any reasonable time frame, I will let the court know.
And Judge, should we come up with any reason why Ms. Woodcock is not available, we'll also advise court.
He's emailed us the paralegals. If you want me to put it in the chat for council, the paralegal in Idaho.
Oh, I'm being told my JA has the paralegal's email in Idaho that those documents can be forwarded to, and the courtroom assistant's gonna put it in the chat, Mr. Abernathy.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, I also have, I'm sorry to interrupt. I also have all the information too. I've been dealing with the paralegal. I even have been talking to the warden,
Okay.
trying to get things set up for to be able to speak to Ms. Daybell.
Okay. All right. Is it in the chat?
Yes.
Okay, it's in the chat. Copy that info down. Mr. White sounds like he has it. Unless there's some sort of settlement of the restitution issue, I'll expect to see everyone virtually October 17 at 1:30. Again, if that doesn't work for the state's witness, please let us know sooner rather than later.
Okay. And Judge, can I just email the document that we'll be using the exhibit to your clerk, or I'm not sure who, do you have a clerk there?
We're not going to know who the clerk's going to be until a few days before, but it will reach out to the parties, and in addition to the state, if the defense has an exhibit they want marked, we'll let you know who to send that to.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Your
From the
Honor,
defense.
since we're gonna be having this 4 weeks, is it possible, I don't know if the state knows, but is it possible to have the receipts from Brandon so that we can, Mr. Boudreaux, so that we can do that all at once?
That's not going to be completed in 4 weeks.
All right, so may have other restitution hearings in the future. I don't know. All right, we'll be at recess. We'll see everyone October 17, 1:30. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there will yet be one more hearing for Lori Vallow Daybell in about a month in October, and that will be done virtually. Now, I know a lot of you have asked questions about what is this victim compensation fund? Like, what does it cover who pays for it, things like that. I've done a little bit of research. It's different state by state, but in Arizona there's actually a whole portal, an online portal, where victims can go in and track the funding and see what qualifies. And let me just read you a little bit about it. The Victim Compensation Program provides financial assistance to victims of crimes or others who may have experienced a financial loss as a direct result of a crime. The program covers expenses of physical harm, mental distress, and economic loss directly resulting from victimization. Eligibility to receive benefits from the program does not require the apprehension or conviction of an offender. And the compensation program is always the payer of last resort. All other sources of economic recovery must be exhausted before compensation benefits can be paid. So it sounds to me that Kay Woodcock, Brandon Boudreaux would not qualify for this until every line of every other way is exhausted, including setting the actual amount of restitution for Lori Vallow Daybell. Now, is it possible that when victims are flown in to testify, family members are flown in or bussed in or whatever, somebody's got to pay for that. They're not getting reimbursed for testifying, but when people were brought into Idaho for the Daybell hearings there, the state has to pay for them. They're their witnesses. You can't call someone, subpoena them to testify if they don't have any money to show up and take the stand. You could put them up in a hotel room, and I would imagine a meal or two would be covered. While the Judicial Compensation Victims Fund is responsible for administering the program, claims are processed at the county level. Each county program has a compensation coordinator who's responsible for investigating claims and collecting supporting documentation. This begins with a completed application, police reports, and any bills or invoices that victims or claimants are requested be paid by the program. After the background work is completed, the county coordinator prepares for and conducts compensation board meetings. Compensation board meetings are where decisions are made on whether or not to pay out compensation funds to victims of crime. The compensation coordinator serves as a point of contact for victims, claimants, members of the community, or victim services personnel who would like more information about the victim compensation program. And there's much more information on there. So there's applications for every county. You go on, you apply. Kay and Brandon have not done that. They're waiting for this restitution to get finalized, and it seems like Lori has kind of confused whether they've gotten it or not. And there's a whole 20-page Arizona Administrative Code Chapter 4 that goes through all of this. There's a table of contents, all of that. You can go read it if you want to learn more about the Victim Compensation Fund. So that's kind of where it comes from. So what's next for Lori is that we go to court in October again. Hopefully they can set an amount, but it sounds like even the amount of Brandon Boudreaux that could be a little bit longer as well. Unless she stipulates, as she could easily do, she could say, I'm stipulating, I'm done with it, and then we're done. Meanwhile, the appeals in Idaho move forward, and it sounds like she now has an appeals attorney in Arizona. Okay, so there's where we're at tonight. I want to thank newspapers.com. I don't know if you can tell, but they gave me this awesome shirt at CrimeCon, Clues in Every Clipping, newspapers.com. I believe everybody who signed up at CrimeCon got one of these shirts, and it's so fun to go through them, newspapers.com, and find all sorts of interesting stuff. And again, if you've been on there, I want you to send me your stories, because I'm getting some really good ones. In fact, let me see if I've got one here. My computer just froze up, so I don't know if I can pull one up tonight. But newspapers.com has over 1 billion pages from newspapers around the world. You can search. You can search everywhere. You can search Australia or Africa or Zimbabwe or whatever. And there's, in fact, if I pull this up, oh, I'm not plugged in. You know what? Here, I'm going to plug this in really quick. I can show you exactly what it looks like here. Stand by, stand by. This should work, I think. Here we go. There we go, newspapers.com. So this is just, if you go to their website, you can save your clippings. I need to log in. I haven't logged in today. But you can save like your clippings, or here's just random clippings you can scroll through, which are always so fun for me to just see. Oh, there was a lawsuit back in 1903 in Lafayette, Indiana. What was this? And who are these photos of these 3 men from Louisiana? John Dyer, President, Donald Mills, Secretary Treasurer, and Randy Herpin. Maybe you don't nerd out on stuff like this. I definitely do. I would have to limit my time on this website because there's so many interesting things. But there's topics, there's Jack the Ripper. You can read a whole thing about that. The Lindbergh baby kidnapping, the Tylenol murders. I just watched a documentary on that a few months ago, and it's fascinating. The cyanide poisoning that was found in Tylenol. You can go back and read that. They've got all sorts of stuff. They have a whole section that they made up for the Koberger trial. So anyway, newspapers.com, they sponsor us here on Courtroom Insider, and you can go on and get your 7-day trial and learn a lot. Learn a lot of history because there's a lot to be learned. Here's where you can find me all day, every day. I'm on Facebook, Insta, X, and YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have, thank you very much. And you can subscribe also our family channel, Meeting the Eatons. We're following my daughter's braces journey. She works with a local orthodontist, Hillam Orthodontics, and she just got braces on 3 days ago. So she's getting used to it. Man, I remember braces. And anyway, I think they're kind of the cool thing now, though. Like, people want braces. Like, when I was a kid, it was like nerdy. At least I felt it was nerdy. But she's getting used to the food and getting used to, talking with it and having the canker sores in her mouths, and just so much fun. One of the questions one of you have is CrimeCon. Yes, tickets are on sale for CrimeCon.com. There was a lot of confusion a few days ago when they went on sale that they were sold out. They're not sold out. I'm going to show you where. If you go to CrimeCon Las Vegas, May 29th through the 31st, hit sign up now. Here's where you put in your info. Okay, and here's where you go. You can standard discount rate $2.99. If you click that and use the promo code Eaton on the next page, EATON, you can get 10. Here we go. Yeah, type it in there. Let's see if it works. You get 10% off. So you save $30. That's dinner. That's 30 Slurpees. That's 30 Snickers bars. Well, I don't know about anymore. So it won't go any cheaper. If you're going to go to CrimeCon and you're thinking about it, you want to do it. And do it now, because once they sell out of these limited quantity tickets, the price will go up. It goes up as it gets closer and closer and closer. The promo code is not valid on Gold and Platinum. Platinum always sells out. Gold, you can check out the different tiers. All of them qualify for the meet and greet. If you want to meet your favorite people, that's how you do it. And you can use that code on the cruise. There's the cruise next November of 26. And it should be so much fun. So far, they've announced me and Chris Hansen, Predator. It keeps on flashing back and forth. It should be a fun cruise. Erica's coming. We have a great time. So if you're looking to do something fun next year, I know that it's not for everybody, and I understand that. But if you are, use that promo code Eaton, and that can save you a little bit of money on the cruise and on the CrimeCon in Las Vegas. I hope you have a great weekend. We'll be back next week, and we're going to dive into Tuesday, unless there's breaking news. Tuesday, we're going to dive into one of the most mysterious, cold cases, missing persons cases that we've seen in some time. A young man who leaves college to go home for Christmas and vanishes. It actually was at CrimeCon that I learned about this story. Many of you brought it to my attention after I shared a video, and I'm going to have his dad here on Tuesday night. Should be a pretty interesting interview, and hopefully by doing it we can get the word out and hopefully maybe lead to some other answers. So that'll be next Tuesday, along with some other fun things that we have planned for the month. In the meantime, I hope you have a great weekend, and if there's any breaking news or whatever, I'll be back to talk about it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Nate Eaton. Take care.